Hi, I'm Pat Murphy, Superintendent of Arlington Public Schools, and our topic today is emergency preparedness. During the first week of school, we sent home a letter titled Emergency Preparedness. And today we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about some of the things we'd like to share with you about how we coordinate services between the county and the schools, what parents should be aware of, and then how we're going to communicate to you in the event of an emergency. I'm joined by a host of leaders in our community from Arlington County government, Chief Doug Scott of the Police Department, Chief Jim Schwartz from the Fire Department, our School Board Chair, Abby Raphael, and our Assistant Superintendent for Administrative Services, Meg Tasillo. And as many of you are aware, we've had a hurricane here in the last several weeks. We've just had an earthquake as well in the area. And then finally, we are celebrating the 10-year anniversary of 9/11. So Chief Scott, I'm going to come to you first, sir.
Well, as you know, Dr. Murphy, and I believe most parents know, we have school resources officers in all of our high schools and our middle schools. For those parents who have children in the elementary schools, they should know that our school resource officers coordinate with them as well. So on a daily basis, we're communicating through the school administrators, and we have a very close relationship with your office with our supervisor of the school resource officers, Lieutenant Kim Babcock. Our traffic enforcement officers pay particular attention to the schools each and every day. The school crossing guards are part of our staff, and they work directly with your staff. So we're constantly monitoring what's going on around the schools.
How do we work with you folks and collaborate?
Well, you know, just like the schools, our services, our fire stations are neighborhood-based. So they have a response area, and within those response areas are a number of schools. Each of those fire stations has a station commander who is responsible for overseeing the entire response area and all of our community relations. So typically the station commanders have relationships with your principals and their staffs. They know your staff knows who they can reach out to get specific information. We're always available, not just at those moments when there is specific information that's necessary or needed during the school day, but also available to provide fire safety education to the schools, to talk with the administrators about what our services are. And it's always important to us that we understand how the schools are laid out. So oftentimes, in addition to our inspection activities, we'll have our crews out walking through the schools so that we understand the layout, so that if there's an emergency here, we're familiar with the facilities.
Right. Now, Ms. Raphael, I know we've also talked a lot about how parents connect into this picture and their role. The board has also talked about with both of the chiefs how parents can really help. What do you see that they can do in events of emergencies?
Parents do have a very important role. First and foremost, they need to keep their emergency contact information up to date so that if there is an emergency, schools know how to get in touch with them, whether it's cell phone, email, work numbers. We need to have all of that, and as those change over the year, to keep those up to date. The other thing is, in the case of an emergency, it's natural to want to rush to the school and see your children, but sometimes being at school is really the safest place for them as we assess the situation, figure out what's going on, and it can be safest for parents as well, so that they're not out on the streets, and we can leave the roads clear for our safety personnel to do what they need to do.
Right. Folks at home may not realize, but there's actually a larger system behind both of you two gentlemen and the schools that interact and come into play when emergency happens. Let's just go to the earthquake that happened on August the 23rd. Can you talk a little bit about what actually goes into play when an emergency arises?
Really, it's all hands on deck. It's all of the agencies in the county, including the schools, that are participating in a very coordinated effort. That coordination is overseen by our Office of Emergency Management. By statute, the county manager is the emergency manager for the community. She is responsible for overseeing everything, and she does that through the Office of Emergency Management. And of course, the school leadership has a position on what's called the Emergency Policy Team, which is the set of advisors that the county manager uses to make policy decisions during an emergency. Are our schools going to be open? Are we going to be closing certain areas of our community to better manage the emergency and the acute phases of it? So the fact that we have the schools joined closely with the county government in that effort ensures that there isn't a breakdown in communications or coordination during a crisis.
So, Ms. DeCillo, there's quite a bit of resource on the side of the county. How do we prepare on the school side to accept some of these resources and also then coordinate with the two different departments here represented?
And we really are fortunate in the size of our community and the relationships that have been established, and as both the chiefs have said, we have excellent relationships, very open communications both with the fire and the police. And we have developed over the years an emergency management booklet that has a description of what our procedures would be in a vast variety of emergencies and crisis situations. They match what we should be saying and doing. So we get input from them and share that information and update it each year, both with the administrators, and nowadays we also provide each of our teachers with a kind of short version of what the emergency plans would be, so everybody knows that, and they have it right in their classrooms as well.
Communication becomes a large part of what happens and how it happens. So what are the systems that we have in place as far as communicating?
So we have the county alert system, Arlington Alert, and folks can sign up on the county website for that. We have APS School Talk, which is our own kind of emergency alert or important messages that need to go out either to the entire school system parent community or to particular schools. Our own website, look at the news media, listen to the radio. We have our own AM 1700, which is our Arlington Alert radio station, the cable channels, and the hotline that we have for Arlington Public Schools that would have up-to-date information for folks as well.
Yeah, the factor that we care about the kids and that they're our most precious commodity and we make sure that they're taken care of first, I can't underline enough. And having that awareness and also being able to communicate with parents where we are should we deal with any type of emergency created naturally or by some event in our community. We want you to know that safety is our priority, and I appreciate the work that you folks are doing and continue to do, not only here, but also the resources that you have in the field.